Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to file fit a set of piston rings in order to get the proper end gap that we desire. Let's do it. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm actually starting with each cylinder by doing the top piston ring first. The end gap that I'm shooting for on the top ring is 19 thousandths. So I'll do the top ring first, and then I'll put it down in the bore, and it'll stay with that cylinder until it's ready to go on the pistons, which are also numbered for each bore. So as you can see here, I'm using a manual piston ring filing tool. It's just a simple little grinder is all it is, and it's all by hand, so you can be real precise and controlled with how much you take off. With each ring, once I know that I'm real close to my final size and the end gap is where I want it to be, I'll dress the edges with a file, just a fine metal file by hand there, just to make sure there's no extra burrs or anything that could come out and catch on the cylinder. As I'm sure you've already taken note of, what I've actually done is installed an oil control ring onto one of the pistons, and I use that to set the ring in the bore, make sure it's square so I get a proper reading. The second ring, or the scraper ring, on this piston set that we're doing here, we're going to set to 21 thousandths. You always want a larger gap. I usually like to go at least 2 thousandths between the top ring and the second ring. Something else I'd like to point out. If you've never done this before, if you've never filed a set of piston rings, the second ring is most typically softer in material than the first ring. So the material is going to come off a lot faster. As you're going through the process here and you're filing all of your rings, when you're using the grinder itself, or however you're doing it, make sure you continuously check to make sure that when you squeeze the rings together, that they butt up square. You don't want them to be offset to one side or the other. They're not going to seal properly. And I always only do one side of the ring, never do both. While this part of the engine building process, for me, is my favorite, it is time consuming. So put on some nice music, enjoy yourself. This is one of the few personal touches that we get to put on these engines, and I personally feel like it goes a long ways. So. Well, as you guys can see, there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to filing piston rings. Be sure to check your piston and ring manufacturers to make sure that you get the proper ring end gap for your application. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and remember, if Doug can do it, you can do it.